promising young motocross racer, Kiana Clay, had dreams as a child of ripping the dirt with the pros when she grew up. Competing as a girl in a boys' club wasn't easy, but it was a challenge she says she took on gladly. But everything changed in an instant when during a race on a particularly muddy day, Kiana's bike slipped from beneath her, and she was struck by another bike with such severe force she blacked out. When Kiana woke up, she was on a stretcher on her way to the hospital where she would learn the extent of her injuries. Kiana had severed most of the nerve that controlled her right arm, and it was possible that she would never regain use of it again. Kiana was determined to race and began the agonizing rehabilitation process when she suffered another cruel twist of fate. Just weeks after Kiana's bike accident, the car she was riding in with her father was hit by a drunk driver, further injuring her already damaged arm and seeming to put an end to her dreams forever. Kiana joins us now from home in Colorado. Welcome to the show. You're a superhero. I mean, listen, I know how well things are going for our audience, though, to see all that you've been through. My goodness, how do you describe it? I mean, when you look back at all that and know that that happened to you.
I would describe it as, man, I don't even know how to describe it. It just happened so fast, and it was like one after another. And I remember going back to my teacher at school, and I was like, someone's out to get me. Like, it was the craziest experience. Because I lost the use of my arm from my motocross accident, and I woke up on the back of the stretcher, and I was like, I can't move my arm, because I immediately lost all feeling. And then once I started going to physical therapy and trying to regain function and strength and see what my arm had left, that's when me and my dad got hit by the drunk driver, and I was actually starting to gain some bicep muscle back, and I instantly lost everything because I was thrown around in that truck because we flipped multiple times. So it was a very scary experience. And I was 12 years old at the time. I just turned 12. So my body was going through, the typical puberty changes at that age. And I was going from a little girl to a teenager woman. And it was an insane journey, for sure.
That's the thing I try to wrap my head around is that you were just a baby, 12 years old. I mean, if that happened to someone who was 62, they'd say, why me, God? What to your point, am I cursed? What's going on? What was your support system like? I mean, what were your parents, or even what were you telling yourself that kept you going?
Yeah, so what kept me going was just knowing that I still have a life to live, and just trying to figure out who I was probably the absolute hardest, because I was known as the girl that raced dirt bikes, the motor girl, and I loved that identity. And that's who I am. I absolutely love anything with a motor. And so getting that taken away, my parents sat me down and they're like, we have to figure out what else is going to make you happy, because the doctors say you can't ride dirt bikes. We're not going to let you ride dirt bikes. No action sports. So I spent pretty much all middle school and high school trying out for absolutely everything: cross country, track, choir, art. I had to reteach myself how to write and draw because I'm an artist, but I was right arm dominant. So I had to reteach myself how to write. And so to spend the time in the hospital, my mom went to the Barnes and Noble bookstore, and she got me those tracing over the letters for, younger kids when they're trying to learn how to write. So I had to reteach myself how to write, and my parents, I feel terrible for them because my mom was right behind me and my dad during the drunk driver accident, and she saw us flip. So she thought that she lost her family in that, and she was pregnant. So it was a whole whirlwind of just all these different emotions and all these different life changes of me trying to find my identity, and then having a sister, and my parents just trying to figure out, okay, how do we support our daughter, and how can we help her be encouraging during this time of figuring out what life being disabled looks like. Because I was the complete opposite. I was an adrenaline junkie, so that was just a complete shift for me.
Mm.
Um, and it wasn't until I graduated high school and went to college where I was like, you know what, I'm going to figure out how to get back on
Wow.
the dirt bike. And even if I just roam around in the pits, at least I'm on a bike,
Yeah.
and at least I'm at the track and I'm where I'm happy.
So from age 12 all the way up to college, this accident and your future just seemed in jeopardy as far as motocross and sports and the things you love. By the time you
Mhm.
get to college, you make the decision to get back on the bike. What did your parents say?
um, well, this was around the time that Facebook was making a huge, huge debut. And there was a gentleman out there that took a photograph of me riding on my bike for the first time. And it was a little pit bike. And he posted it on Facebook and he tagged me. And I was like, ooh, okay, I have to tell my parents about this. So I sat them down and I was like, hey, just so you guys know, I rigged up a pit bike. I've just been cruising around the pits, but I'm so incredibly happy and I feel like complete and just this is just who I am.
But
And
Kiana, that's not, I'm looking at video right now. That's not you
yeah,
cruising around the pits. So, I
no,
mean, listen.
no, it isn't. And it was funny because my parents were completely against it. My dad was like, no, I don't support this. My mom was like, heck
Mm,
no, I do not support this. And it took a while for them to actually get on board. My dad came up to me one day when he came to watch me at the track, and he's like, you know what? I know you.
mhm.
And when you set your mind to something, you go out and you attack it. And
Yeah.
there's nothing that changes your mind. Like you're just a determined individual. So I'm going to make sure that,
Oh,
you're set up with the best equipment um, and I'll help you get a bike.
what are
And
the
so my dad,
limitations? Let me
yeah.
ask you.
So what was that?
What are some of the limitations that you realistically face right now that you've overcome?
Relearning how to write took forever. Figuring out how to do my makeup, my hair, um, and just the balance of an athlete. Just trying to figure out how do I balance on a bike, and it's just crazy because the little things that you don't think about that you need two hands for.
Mm,
Um, Kind of just smacked me in the face of like even just eating the way that you have a way of eating like holding your fork. I had to relearn how to eat, as crazy
wow.
as that sounds. um and so just everyday things like Ziploc bags and saran wrap are my worst nightmare.
Wow.
So there's just so many limitations, but I just had to tell myself I'm going to look at what I have rather than what I don't have, and I'm going to make it work. So
Wow.
I figured out how to play Xbox with my feet. I figured out how to surf again. I figured out how to skateboard again, snowboard again, ride my dirt bike again. And I just embrace it as this is what makes me unique. This is what makes me Kiana.
Yeah.
And this is what's going to make me stand out of the crowd. So I'm actually going to use it as my advantage
Hmm.
and use my story to help people to
Wow.
see past whatever challenges they're facing. So, no matter what background, no matter where you come from, no matter if you have a disability, if you're a woman or a male, no matter who you are, you can achieve absolutely anything that you want to achieve as long as you just believe in yourself. Because I've had so many people tell me that you won't be successful in action sports, you won't be able to do action sports. And here I am now, a
Mm.
professional snowboarder. So, and I never thought I'd be that.